Hey, fellow adventurers. Dashing Dane here, ready for another deep dive into a world of travel tips.
And I'm Dashing Darcy, excited to unpack all the best advice to make your next trip truly unforgettable.
Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Dollar Dash Destinations for even more travel inspiration.
Okay, so are you ready to go from Iceland Dreamer to Iceland Pro?
I think so.
Yeah.
Our source today is this comprehensive travel guide packed with tips for exploring the land of glaciers, volcanoes, and,
Well, let's be honest, unpredictable weather.
yeah, exactly. The guy really emphasizes that.
Speaking of weather, it gives a really interesting example. Imagine you're hiking, enjoying the sunshine, and then
Yep.
bam, a snow flurry hits. That's Iceland for you, experiencing all four seasons in a day.
Wow. So what's the packing strategy? What do we need beyond just layers?
Waterproof and windproof gear above all else. Think a quality outer shell, warm thermals underneath,
Right.
and sturdy hiking boots. You might be traversing some pretty rugged terrain.
Got it. Dress for adventure, but be ready to adapt. What about resources for staying updated on those ever-changing conditions?
Well, the guide recommends the Vidor website.
Okay.
Think of it as your Icelandic weather guru. It's got real-time forecasts and even road conditions.
Oh, that's handy. Especially if you're venturing off the beaten path.
Exactly. You wouldn't want to get caught in a blizzard on some remote mountain road.
No, definitely not.
Oh,
Now, the guide also mentions guided tours, especially for solo travelers. I'm curious, what are the advantages beyond just having someone to take your photo?
oh, there are so many. Guided tours are like unlocking a secret level of Iceland. First off, seamless logistics.
Okay.
So you're not stressing about transportation or reservations. But even more importantly, you're tapping into local expertise.
Right.
These guides know the hidden gem, the best trails, even where to spot the northern lights away from the crowds.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Are all the guided tours kind of created equal, though? Are there specific experiences that the guide recommends?
Oh yeah, they highlight three really unique options. First, a 3-day Hornstrander hike.
Okay.
That's in the Westfjords, a region known for dramatic landscapes and untouched wilderness.
Sounds intense.
It is. Then there's kayaking along the Icelandic coast. Imagine paddling through those majestic fjords, spotting puffins and seals.
Wow.
And lastly, exploring glacial fjords, where you can witness the power of these ancient ice formations up close.
Those sound incredible.
Yeah.
But even if you're not on a guided tour, the guide encourages connecting with the locals.
Oh, absolutely. Icelanders are known for their warmth and willingness to share their culture.
Yeah, for sure.
You might strike up a conversation at a cafe and end up with an invitation to a home-cooked meal,
Oh, wow.
or discover a secret Northern Lights viewing spot that only the locals know.
Those sound like the kinds of travel stories you remember forever.
Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about getting around. This guide highly recommends renting a car, and I can see why. The freedom to explore at your own pace.
Exactly. The iconic ring road, which circles the entire island, is a popular choice for road trippers.
Yeah.
But the guide encourages venturing off the beaten path as well. They mention the Snæfellsnes Peninsula.
Oh. Yeah, often called Iceland in miniature because of its diverse landscapes all packed into a smaller area.
And then, of course, there are the famous F roads.
Ah, yes, the F-roads.
Those are pretty intense.
They are. These are rugged mountain roads that require a 4x4 vehicle. They're perfect if you're looking to explore the highlands.
Right.
But the guide emphasizes you need to be confident driving in challenging conditions. You might encounter steep inclines, river crossings, and unpredictable weather.
So definitely not for the faint of heart.
No.
For those who want to experience those more remote areas but maybe aren't comfortable tackling F-roads themselves, what does the guide suggest?
They recommend guided tours, especially for the highlands and the Westfjords.
Yeah.
Tour operators have the vehicles and expertise to navigate these areas safely, and they can provide insights and access that you wouldn't have on your own. It's a great way to balance adventure with peace of mind.
For sure. Speaking of adventure, one of the biggest draws of Iceland is its untouched raw beauty. Where does the guide recommend going for those seeking that off-the-beaten-path experience? Well, both the Eastfjords and the Westfjords are highlighted for their dramatic landscapes, with far fewer tourists compared to the popular South Coast.
Okay.
Imagine pristine fjords, charming fishing villages, and a sense of solitude you won't find in more crowded areas.
Sounds amazing. And then there are the Icelandic highlands, which cover a huge portion of the country.
The highlands are like stepping onto another planet, dramatic volcanic landscapes, vast glaciers, and incredible hiking trails. The guide recommends the Lagavegir Trail, considered one of the most beautiful multi-day hikes in the world.
Yeah.
But again, they emphasize preparation and potentially joining a guided tour, as the highlands can be unpredictable and require a higher level of self-sufficiency.
Okay, so we've talked about the adventurous side of Iceland, but let's get practical for a moment. What about keeping those travel expenses in check? Any tips from the guide?
Absolutely. One of their top recommendations is self-catering accommodation. Many hostels, guest houses, and even campsites offer kitchen facilities, allowing you to prepare your own meals.
That's a great way to save money, especially in a country like Iceland, where dining out can get pricey.
Hmm.
What are some must-try Icelandic foods that our listeners can cook up in their kitchens?
Fresh fish is a must.
Okay.
Iceland is known for its incredible seafood. Think cod, haddock, Arctic char. They also recommend trying lamb, a staple in Icelandic cuisine. And don't forget skyr, a traditional Icelandic dairy product that's high in protein and has a unique, tangy flavor.
Now, I've heard that the tap water in Iceland is incredibly pure. Is that true?
It's absolutely true. The guide even mentions that buying bottled water in Iceland is almost seen as a faux pas.
Oh, wow.
You can fill up your reusable bottle from any tap and enjoy some of the freshest, cleanest water you'll ever taste.
That's amazing. It's great for your wallet and the environment. Speaking of unique Icelandic experiences, the guide also recommends attending small-town festivals.
Yes. These festivals offer a glimpse into local traditions and culture that you won't find in tourist brochures. They mention Hoya Hati, a massive outdoor festival held in the Westman Islands every August. It's a chance to experience traditional Icelandic music, food, and celebrations. Imagine a giant bonfire, folk dancing, and a real sense of community spirit.
That sounds incredible. I'm adding that to my bucket list. And while we're on the topic of immersive experiences, what about camping?
Camping is a fantastic way to connect with Iceland's stunning natural beauty, and the guide says there are campsites scattered all over the country. It's perfect for road trips or for those embracing the van life trend.
But they also emphasize responsible camping.
Right, absolutely. Respecting the environment is paramount in Iceland. The guide stresses the importance of using designated campsites, avoiding wild camping in national parks, and leaving no trace behind.
And there's a special card that can make camping even more affordable, right?
Yes, the Iceland Camping Card.
Okay.
For a set price, it gives you access to numerous campsites across the country. A great value if you plan on spending a few nights under the stars.
Now let's move on to an Icelandic experience that I'm personally really excited about, natural hot springs.
Ah, yes, soaking in geothermal pools surrounded by volcanic landscapes. It's practically a national pastime in Iceland.
The guide mentions Reykjadalur, where you can actually bathe in a warm river, and Landmannalaugar, known for its stunning hiking trails and natural hot springs.
They also offer a few practical tips. Always shower before entering any pool. Be prepared for hikes to reach some of the more remote springs. And if you're visiting in winter, consider a nighttime soak under the northern lights.
I can't even imagine how magical that would be.
Speaking of things that might surprise visitors, let's talk about Iceland's alcohol laws. This one's important to know.
Okay, I'm intrigued. What's so unique about them?
Well, you won't find beer, wine, or spirits in regular supermarkets.
Oh, really?
Nope, they're only sold in state-run stores called Vinbuden.
Vinbuden. That's a new one for me.
Yeah, it's kind of quirky, but that's how they do things in Iceland. The guide even warns that supermarkets sell a near beer product, but it has absolutely zero alcohol content.
So it's like,
So if you're planning to enjoy some adult beverages, factor in a trip to Vinbuden and be mindful of their limited hours, especially in smaller towns.
good to know. Wouldn't want to be caught off guard after a long day of hiking. Now onto a phenomenon that's truly unique to Iceland. During summer, the midnight sun. Imagine 24 hours of daylight.
It's a photographer's dream. You can literally chase the golden hour all night long. The guide recommends visiting popular sites at night to avoid the daytime crowds and experience them bathed in that ethereal glow.
That's a brilliant tip. I can already picture the Gulf Falls waterfall sparkling under the midnight sun. But does the guide mention anything about sleep? Isn't it difficult to adjust to constant daylight?
They do. They recommend bringing a sleeping mask to block out the light if you're sensitive. It might take a few days to adjust, but imagine waking up and feeling like you can hike a glacier at 2 a.m. That's the magic of Iceland.
Okay, all this talk of glaciers and volcanoes reminds me, Iceland's landscape is incredible, but also potentially hazardous.
Right. The guide talks about recent eruptions on the Reykjanes Peninsula that have impacted areas like Grindavik and even temporarily closed the Blue Lagoon. It's a good reminder that Iceland's volcanic activity is constantly shaping the land.
So what's the best way for travelers to stay informed about potential risks and safety precautions?
The guide strongly recommends checking for updates from the Icelandic Met Office and Safe Travel Iceland both before and during your trip.
Okay.
They provide real-time information on volcanic activity, weather warnings, and any safety guidelines you need to be aware of.
Safety first. Now, even though Iceland is generally considered very safe, The guide cautions against underestimating the potential dangers of its natural landscapes. What specific advice do they give?
They point out that many visitors, perhaps caught up in the excitement, might venture onto glaciers without proper gear or guidance, or attempt risky photos near cliffs or other hazardous areas. They emphasize that safety rails and warning signs are often minimal, so common sense and respecting the power of nature are crucial.
It's a good reminder that adventure shouldn't come at the expense of safety. Now let's shift gears to road trip planning. Safe driving in Iceland requires careful preparation, especially considering the weather and road conditions.
Absolutely. Before setting out the guide stresses the importance of checking driving times, road conditions, weather forecasts, and even trail requirements if you plan on doing any hiking. Websites like the Icelandic Road Administration and Safe Travel Iceland are invaluable resources for this.
And what about practical tips for actually driving in Iceland? Anything that might surprise first-time visitors?
Well, for starters, always add extra time for potential delays.
Right.
You never know when you might encounter a herd of sheep crossing the road or need to stop for an unexpected photo op. And always carry sufficient supplies, especially food, water, and an emergency kit, particularly when venturing into remote areas.
Good advice. Now, we talked about F-roads earlier, but the guide also mentions something about off-road driving.
Yes, it's absolutely prohibited in Iceland.
What?
Not only is it illegal, but it can cause serious damage to the fragile environment.
Oh, so no impromptu detours through the lava fields.
Definitely not. The guide emphasizes choosing the right vehicle for your planned route, sticking to designated roads, and being mindful of the varying road surfaces.
Makes sense. You wouldn't want to get stuck in the middle of nowhere with a flat tire. Now, for those who are drawn to Iceland's more remote and challenging landscapes, but maybe aren't comfortable navigating them independently, what does the guide suggest?
Guided tours are definitely the way to go in those cases. Tour operators have the expertise, equipment, and safety measures for activities like kayaking, volcano climbing, glacier, hiking, and exploring ice caves. They can provide access to areas that might be difficult or even dangerous to reach on your own. And they offer valuable insights into the local environment and culture.
It sounds like a great way to balance adventure with peace of mind. And finally, let's address a topic that's incredibly important. As Iceland's popularity as a tourist destination continues to grow, the impact of tourism on the environment and local communities.
It's a crucial conversation to have. The guide emphasizes the importance of responsible tourism practices. Respecting local guidelines, staying on marked paths, minimizing waste, supporting local businesses, these are all ways we can help ensure that Iceland's beauty and unique character remain intact for future generations.
It's about being mindful travelers who appreciate the privilege of experiencing this incredible country and doing our part to protect it.
Exactly. Imagine if every visitor to Iceland embraced those principles. We could collectively make a significant difference in preserving this extraordinary destination.
It's inspiring to think about the positive impact we can have as travelers when we make conscious choices.
Absolutely. It's about shifting from being just a tourist to being a responsible traveler, someone who truly values and respects the destination they're visiting.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Iceland travel tips, what are some key takeaways that our listeners should keep in mind as they plan their own adventures?
First and foremost, preparation is key. Iceland's weather can be unpredictable, so packing versatile layers and checking weather forecasts is essential. And whether you're planning a road trip or exploring the highlands, always do your research. Choose the right vehicle and prioritize safety.
Great advice. And remember, responsible travel is about more than just minimizing our environmental impact. It's also about engaging with local communities in a respectful way, supporting local businesses, and being mindful of the delicate balance of this incredible ecosystem.
Couldn't agree more. Iceland is a land of wonder and beauty, and it's up to all of us to ensure that it remains that way for generations to come.
Now, before we say goodbye, let's leave our listeners with a little inspiration. Based on what we've learned today, what unique Icelandic adventure will you seek out?
Will you hike to a secluded waterfall kayak through glacial fjords, or maybe even witness the ethereal beauty of the northern lights dancing across the night sky?
Iceland offers a world of possibilities, and the choice is yours. From all of us here at Dollar Dash Destinations, we wish you happy and safe travels. Until next time, take care.